It is not the man who says to me, Lord, Lord, who will enter into the kingdom of heaven. To say Lord means to hand on all rights and to abdicate over all that we might think we have a right over. It's kind of important because it is an illness out there that people are actually spiritual people when they're not concretely surrendering all. Proof. There might be holy people who regularly use bad language, regularly lose their temper, regularly waste much time and even in dangerous things on screens. People who are not coherent. Until all is handed over, it can be an illusion. So when we come to the end of the day, it's important that that moment of examination of conscience happens and that it be demanding. It is not enough to be just sorry in a general way. One has to tot up night by night the things to be confessed. And then one makes proper confessions. There are some who confess automatically the same things each time so as to get the grace of absolution. But there is no improvement and no change. Stagnancy. But at least in all those cases there is the bottom line of trying to get home. The readings today talk also about those who haven't got that. Specifically, the wages of sin. Things have consequences. All that we do has an effect not only on ourselves and on our future, but also on others. There is a reference in the Gospel to rotten trees. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is chopped down and thrown into fire. Now, a lot of ink has flowed over the centuries with regard to the meaning of this fire. In the present calendar, that of the readings for this Sunday in the English Mass, the first reading is actually quite fiery. Sodom and Gomorrah. Now that has been taken up by Christian authors as some kind of hint of the consequences of going against the Creator. And in their case, it was specifically in one domain. I think you know what it was. It's given origin to our language with regard to sodomy. And those rights have now, as it were, been recuperated even on high, as though the law of man could change the law of God and normalize something which has as consequence, yes, hell. That word is not PC. We have grown up, haven't we? Well, be careful, because it is false teachers, those of which the Gospel speaks, who tell you certain things. There are even certain high-placed people who tell you that even though hell may exist, there aren't very many candidates for it. It's a false notion, and it can lead to consequences in the mindset of Christians who hear that. It is a serious risk! And Our Lady warned the little children of Fatima that it was a serious risk. It was the first secret. They eventually were allowed to tell it. They saw, and she explained, the places where the souls of poor sinners go. And she added that there was no one praying for them and making sacrifices for them. And they took that on board, small though they were. Holocausts, all kinds of penances which they invented at their age, things that hurt. They had seen the consequences of losing the soul. And by the way, little Jacinta, tiny though she was only 9 when she died. Before dying, she warned warn people about a few things from Our Lady. One was talking in church, another was purity. Even though she was tiny and young and innocent as an angel, she had an intuition that this sin of impurity was horrifying before Almighty God and very damaging to humanity. A child! And that's the one the devil tends to use a lot to get souls, because he's using the divine in the body, because the body has that instinct to carry on life and reproduce, and so it's given by God, and the devil uses it to take it away out of context and to get them on that. Bondage! And how many souls are in bondage? Listen to this. This is from the letter from hell. It was a year of pleasure. Notice, pleasure. What is pleasure? It's not of the soul. In fact, this comes out clearly in this letter. The soul is suffering even here when it looks for pleasure in the wrong place. Listen. It was a year of pleasure. This is a year after her marriage. This period between my marriage and my sudden death. Every Sunday we went out in the car, or else we went to visit my husband's parents. These people were just gliding over the surface of existence, like ourselves, no more nor less. You can often see what a person is made of by what they talk of willingly. Inwardly, I never felt that I was happy. Under the Rolling Stones, I can't get no satisfaction. And they put in the spirit of the English people, and youth in particular, a gloomy look for about 10 years. Nevertheless, outwardly, I laughed. How much laughter is so much froth? It was always within myself as though something were gnawing, because the conscience isn't at peace. And where there's no peace of heart, there's no profound joy. We can only pretend, even to ourselves. I would have preferred that after death, which of course was yet far away, all was over. And by the way, some people go as far as to say it is over. I don't believe in it, therefore it is not. As though the mind had power over existence. Hell is full of people who didn't believe in it. Now there's this little aside which is interesting, because people ask themselves, why is so-and-so always getting everything in his favour? It all goes so well, whereas I have all this stuff coming at me. When I was a child, I heard one day, in the course of a sermon, that God rewards every good work that each person does, and when he can reward it in the other life, he rewards it here on earth, which explains why many people who are in sin have a good life. Unexpectedly, she had a lot of things going for her, an inheritance. She goes all round these entertainments. But then this nagging feeling, something was telling her there might be something there. Fire, I tell you to myself, doesn't mean the torment of one's conscience. The fire is fire. And then she goes on to ask, how can a spirit be touched by material fire? How can your soul suffer on earth when you put your finger over a flame? True, the soul doesn't burn, yet, nonetheless, what torment the whole individual feels. So, there is this bondage to fire. The soul, at the moment of death, sees itself and sees that it cannot go to the one that it has refused. And it casts its way as far as possible into what has been invented. And you know, in exorcism it came, the devil was told, all of them, to go together to the place prepared for them, created for them. And they answered, God did not create hell, we did. So it's bad company. And those who think it's cool to play with sin and to play with the demonic have not an inkling of the one they're playing with and the one whose company they might have to share. Imagine, bad company without end. How clever he is. Our greatest torment lies in the certainty we have that we shall never see God, ever. And that's the terrible thing. It's not purgatory, it's forever. And then it goes on to talk about the different degrees. There are different degrees down there, as in purgatory. But then it goes on to something which concerns us. Catholics suffer more because they've known more and abused more. The one who knows more suffers more harshly than the one who knew less. Those who fall out of malice have to bear more than those who fall out of weakness. Then the question that she had this last hope in the back of her mind. Her friend, the one that she came back to give this to, had told her that no one went to hell unless they really actually chose it. This thought is correct. True, before my sudden end, I honestly didn't know hell for what it is. No mortal does. But I have full conscience of it. If you die, you're going straight into the realm of the hereafter, like an arrow against God. She knew it. You have to face the consequences. But I didn't change for all that, because rooted in the force of habit. And that's what happens to a soul who continually has pushed away grace, that last push which comes either at the moment of death or in some kind of fraction of a no man's land when they're beyond our reach and perhaps are shown. That point in which all eternity is in the balance is weighed by all the force of habit. It's always said no, and no it will be forever. I was drawn on by it. Habit. The older people get, the more they like their habits. Then it goes on to describe the death. And it refers to that last grace, the plea. This morning as I was coming here, it was between 11 and 12 on the road just out of Duleek. A lot was going on. There were even Gardaí involved. The traffic was stopped. Sport. Sport. In the heart of Sunday morning. What is a goal when one's lost the match? Forever!